Howdy, my name is Brian Foley, and I'm the managing partner at Houston Criminal Defense Attorneys, PLLC. We're down here at 310 Main Street in Houston, Texas. And today we're going to be going over a crime that happens quite a bit. It's called DWI first. And this is the version of that crime where we talk about a refusal of a breath test or a blood test, okay? So a DWI first means driving while intoxicated. This is different from DUI. Now in some other states, a DUI is kind of what we call DWI, driving while intoxicated. It means it's not that you just had one drink, it's not that you had two or whatever it is, it's that you had enough alcohol that your mental and physical faculties have been disturbed. And if not that, then you have an alcohol concentration of greater than 0.08. Now they measure that a couple different ways, either by your breath, your blood, or your urine. I've never seen a urine test on a DWI as long as I've been practicing, so it's normally going to be your breath or blood. And when we talk about a refusal case, then what we're talking about is a DWI where they've asked you for a breath or a blood test and you have refused to give a sample, right? Now you have the right to refuse to give a sample, but the state at a jury trial can argue to the jury that the reason you refused was because you're intoxicated. So it's hard to say you really have a right to do it because it can still be used against you in court. So let me tell you how that process works. So let's say you're in Houston, Texas, you get pulled over by a Houston police officer, a Harris County Sheriff's officer, Deer Park Police, Seabrook Police, anybody who works for law enforcement inside Harris County. You get pulled over. They're going to start by doing the field sobriety tests. The first one they're going to do is called the HGN, or the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. It's an eye test, and it's checking for involuntary jerking in your eye. What they're going to do after that is normally a walk and turn test. They're going to ask you to take 9 steps along a line, touching heel to toe, do a funky turn at the halfway point. A lot of very specific instructions. They're not going to tell you what they're looking for, then they're going to judge you on it according to a score sheet, 8 possible clues. So if you get 2 out of 8 clues, they're going to mark you as intoxicated. If it's 4 out of 6 clues on the HGN, they're going to mark you as intoxicated. And then the last test they normally do is called the one-leg stand test. They ask you to hold one leg out approximately 6 inches off the ground, point your toe. They're going to look for 4 clues, including hopping, swaying, failure to follow the instructions in some other ways. And they're going to basically make some assessment of you, and they're going to arrest you most likely after that. Now, this is an important distinction. If you are asked to do a breath test on the side of the road, and they pull out, a handheld breath test instrument, looks kind of like a little gun, and say blow into it, and you refuse to do that, that's not what I would call a breath test refusal case. What I'm talking about, because that's called a portable breath test or a PBT, that is not admissible in court. What I'm talking about is after they've put you under arrest. Let's say they do those tests, you refuse to do the roadside breathalyzer, and then they say, okay, you're under arrest, put your hands behind your back, they handcuff you. What they're going to do next is read you a form called the DIC-24. And that form starts off by saying you're under arrest for an offense involving acts alleged to have been committed while operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, or a watercraft or an aircraft, actually, because you can get flying while intoxicated as well. That's another crime. But anyway, they're going to ask you for a breath or a blood sample after they read you some driver's license consequences. And then if you say no, you're not going to give them a breath or a blood sample, they're going to mark you down as a refusal. So then the issue becomes, do we have a warrant? Is the district attorney's office going to seek a warrant in your case to get your blood anyway? Now in Houston, they're going to go down to what's called the JPC, or the Joint Processing Center. I used to be a prosecutor with the district attorney's office at the Harris County DA's office, and I was the chief of the intake division from 4 p.m. to midnight, and we would routinely fill out blood warrants for police officers to get people's blood. Now a refusal case is one where the officer chooses not to do that. So I just recently had a client where they had basically 1 glass of champagne. They were arrested for DWI. They refused to give a sample because that's what they'd always been told to do. And then the police never got a blood sample. Well, it may really end up hurting us in that case, because if you had one glass of champagne, your blood's going to be way under the legal limit. We likely could get that case dismissed, but because the police choose to not get a blood warrant, you could be left with a jury deciding your fate based on how you appear on video. Do you look like you're intoxicated? Maybe even if you're not. So these are pretty challenging cases, but that's what we call a DWI refusal. And in Harris County, it's really important. If you've got a case like that, you need somebody experienced to be looking at your video and giving you advice on what to do. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've got a DWI first offense in Harris County, you can always give us a call, 713-703-1718, and we'll see if we can help you out. Thank you.